Hi everyone, it's Alexis with Project Management Made Simple. In this video, I'm going to share with you some tips for taking over an existing project. So really the context here is for if you're a project manager, a project lead, a product owner, anyone who's going to be managing a project and who's going to have to manage the expectations of stakeholders, and you're now stepping into this capacity on an existing project. Now, when we have situations like this, it could be because you are swapping over from another project onto this one. It could be that you've just joined an organization and so they're now staffing you on projects that are existing that need the support. Whatever the case may be, this assumption here is that this project has already gotten started and you're coming in midstream, and at this point, there's going to be a little bit of disruption to the team. Any change is going to be disruptive. And so with that in mind, I'm going to share with you some tips on how to manage this transition in an efficient manner. So first thing, if there is a predecessor to you, if there's a project manager, if there's a project lead, whoever was facilitating and leading the project before you, if you have access to that person, talk with them. They are going to be your number one person who's going to help you throughout this transition. They should ideally be able to answer questions like, what's the current status of the project? What are the goals of the project? Now, if you don't have access to someone like this, then your next best bet is going to be to talk to your team members and to talk to the stakeholders. This, again, like I said, is going to be kind of disruptive to the team. And so having an understanding of what has been the lay of the land, what have been their concerns with the project so far, and really just spending some time up front to get acclimated. If you do have a predecessor that you're working with, something that I recommend that I've done with my teams before is to have that predecessor be the lead, continue being the lead, and you shadow after them, right? So if there's some time, if it's even 1 week where you can just kind of see the ways in which in doing more of that observation, and then if possible having them shadow you. Again, that's something that's not always possible. It's also possible that it's the case that there hasn't been a particular lead for a project, that this project has just kind of came about and spawned off, and now all of a sudden there's a need for someone to kind of organize the chaos that can come with projects that start like that. And so in that case, then you would not have someone, a predecessor before you. But you still are going to have your team members and other stakeholders who are going to be good resources for you in terms of the information that's needed to manage this project. So you'll want to understand, what are the goals and the objectives of this project? What is the 10,000 foot view? What is the big picture that the customer is hoping to achieve by this project? You'll want to understand, what is the current status, like I mentioned before. So where are we at with the schedule, the scope, the budget, and quality, and all of these various project management knowledge areas? What are the current state of things, and are there any issues that the team is having? Are there any risks and issues that are high visibility, high priority, that they've been tracking towards, that they need to have resolution towards? So one of those things of just going through each of the knowledge areas and seeing where we're at is also going to be super helpful in this transition. Having an understanding of the project constraints. So if we are, for instance, having a project where it's software implementation of an HR system, and you get an understanding that this is going to be a replacement of an existing system, you might want to, or you're going to want to understand, what is the constraints around that? Is there a certain timeline that this needs to be completed by, because they need to get off of that legacy system that they're on? That is going to be a really key constraint and key driver in this project. And so having an understanding of these project constraints, again, is going to be helpful. You also want to have an understanding of the logistics of the project. So what is the meeting cadence? What is the reporting cadence? And where does the documentation live? Where are we tracking our work? Are we using something like Jira to track our work? Are we tracking work in spreadsheets? So having an understanding of where all of these pieces live, and also an understanding of the communication plan, is also going to be very helpful to you in this transition. And finally, the last thing you'll want to do is to ensure alignment across your stakeholders. So you'll have had those conversations with them, with your team members, with the customers, with the project sponsor, and just having, a conversation with all of them together to share the information that you've received and to get some consensus around what the current state of the project is going to be helpful as you move forward. This was a video providing some tips on how to take over an existing project. If you have any other questions, feel free to leave those below in the comments. If you found this video helpful, please do give it a thumbs up, and I will talk to you all in my next video.